Hello, my name is John and this video is about singlehood and the importance of being single before pursuing a partner. As a teenager, the number one lie I believed about relationships was that having a partner would solve my emotional problems. I was going through the first major phase of aggressive mood swings as a teenager, and it put a major strain on my friendships. I blamed my friends and accused them for leaving me, ignoring me, and living their amazing lives without me. It took me years for me to realize that my unhappiness with being single, or rather alone and lonely, could not be fixed through a relationship. My friends at the time were also teenagers going through their own life struggles, and even though they did their best to help me, I wasn't able to recognize their own limits as people. As time passed, I learned how to address my emotional struggles and trauma through therapy and became more stable with the help of medications. However, there seems to be a lot of pressure from the narratives of social and mainstream media for those who are happy and content to be in relationships. Especially as someone who has never been in a relationship, I often felt out of place in a society that preaches relationships as the answer to happiness. I will add that there's nothing wrong or inferior about being in a relationship, but I will still advocate that learning to be content as a single person can help develop effective self-worth, self-confidence, and autonomy. There's an example I learned in treatment that helped me understand how important it is to grow as a single before pursuing relationships. When I was in a psych hospital as a teenager, there was a nursing tech staff member who sat down with all the teens, both boys and girls, and explained why as teenagers going through mental health addiction crisis should not pursue relationships with each other in a psych setting. Let's imagine our mental health as a baseline on a line graph. Sometimes when we are not doing well, the baseline sinks a little bit, and sometimes when we're doing really well, the baseline elevates a bit. Even healthy individuals go through ups and downs in life, but are able to cope and keep the ups and downs reasonable. When it comes to healthy relationships, although you or your partner's baseline may dip, the other partner's baseline can help the other get back to a healthy level. However, when you are in a psych hospital, you're going through a lot of downs, to the point where you needed professional help to get you through addiction, suicidality, and or traumatic living situations. So your baseline is already significantly lower when you first started to seek treatment. Trying to initiate a relationship in that kind of acute setting can certainly be seductive. We find a fellow patient who we can relate with, and the idea of finding love in a dark place seems better than being alone. However, when you and someone who has really depressed baselines try to maintain a relationship, neither of you can bring the other back from a low baseline. As a result, both of you can spiral downwards and create really unhealthy and potentially dangerous situations. Part of what makes being single especially terrifying at times is that it is up to you, the individual, to work on yourself and be happy without a partner. You have to unearth and confront the traumas of your life, figure out what you believe and want, and do a lot of work to be healthy, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. You have to unlearn the behaviors and thought patterns that have caused you so much suffering and pain in the past. I spent a lot of time having a depressed baseline and tried to fill the void of sadness and trauma with relationships. I was angry at the things I lost, what could have been without my mental illness, and the lack of control I felt over my trauma. As I started to sober up for getting on medications and seeking professional help, I started to work on myself. I was overweight. I started doing jiu-jitsu. I was done being a college trombonist. I started making art. I was overly selfish when it came to relationships. I started to listen, serve others, and be empathetic. I was really limited in my understanding of the world. I started to talk to other people and study philosophy. I was afraid of doctors, police officers, and nurses. I started to advocate for myself and my treatment. To prove my point, if I was to die suddenly, without warning, today, even though I'm not in a relationship, don't have a lot of money, or am the most successful artist ever, I would be content. I would be content because I devoted my energy, time, and life to being a happy and content human being. Of course, we want life to be something we accomplish, a finite endpoint where we can say, I've made it. But life, as cliche as it sounds, is about the journey. Going through the ups and downs of life is difficult, but can provide opportunities to overcome. Overcome, suffer, and overcome again. Whenever you focus on your own growth and not on what others are doing, you start to attract people who are of a similar mindset. Whether or not it leads to a relationship, Being able to overcome the traumas that come with individuality is an amazing thing to experience. I am not defined by my relationship status. I am defined by the things I do and overcome to be a complete person, even without a partner. I am defined by the inherent value I place on myself and the victories that come with overcoming suffering. Once you become whole, you can work towards sharing 100% of you with someone who has gone through the same.